Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. G7 nations are announcing a ban on Russian gold. And I'm here to tell you why it won't work. Let's explore. For those of you who have been following my channel for a while, you know that I've been reporting on the latest news in regards to precious metals, geopolitically as well, and specifically Russia. In fact, for several years, I've been talking about Russian gold imports and Russian gold central bank gathering. You know, they've been accumulating a lot of gold, as well as China, and a lot of it we know now. They've been preparing for what's happening now with regards to the war, invasion of Ukraine, and the like. And so when this started happening, when the invasion happened, it was just a matter of time. Within a couple of weeks, we saw the London bullion market make moves here. And this is an article here and something I had covered on the channel, even when it was first being asked about by these Russian refineries. London Bullion Market Association to ban Russian gold. And they did this, and I reported on it then, but even before they made it official, they had made some inquiries to these 6 refineries about their ties to Russia and the like. And so this story came out, and again, this was from March 11th. So I'm a little perplexed at the story, at the news that had broke, and I remember hearing about it on the radio, about the G7 nations to announce an import ban on Russian gold as Moscow sanctions widened. Well, number one, why didn't the G7 meet to announce this first thing, considering what we're going to read about in this article? And I think I have the answer to that. And I think this is really just kind of bloviating and just kind of something that's just put out there to make it seem like we're being tough on Moscow, when in reality, there's really nothing to sanction. There's nothing to ban here. So the article starts out here. The leaders of the G7 nations will announce a ban on Russian gold imports for Moscow's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, according to U.S. President Joe Biden. He confirmed on Sunday morning, as the leaders met in Munich, Germany for the latest G7 summit. Biden took to Twitter to confirm earlier reports of an imminent ban. The United States has imposed unprecedented cost on Putin to deny him the revenue he needs to fund his war against Ukraine. Well, it doesn't look like he's having much problem now, as the east of Ukraine has been pummeled hard. Together, the G7 will announce that we will ban the import of Russian gold, a major export that rakes in tens of billions of dollars for Russia. And so that's what the statement is. The move would add to a series of punitive penalties imposed by the West on Russia since its onslaught on Ukraine began on February the 24th. The sanctions have aimed to crush the Russian economy and have included bans or curbs on oil and gas imports and trading with Russia, Russian banks, and individuals. So U.S., Canada, and the European allies agreed in February to remove key Russian banks from the interbank messaging system known as SWIFT, effectively severing the country from much of the global financial system. So this will be announced on Tuesday. The UK government on Sunday also confirmed the move to ban Russian gold imports, saying it would apply to newly mined gold and refined gold. So in other words, this is gold that doesn't exist yet, excluding gold that may have come from Russia but had already been exported. And I had theorized about this back in March when I reported the news about the LBMA banning. What is going to happen to this existing gold? It will still flow through, and so it's a new gold. Well, that gold is probably long gone by now. In fact, I even reported on it with Switzerland, as to what they had gotten. There's some mystery there. So one other thing here that is throws a little cog into the wheel here. Russia is the world's second largest producer of gold, according to the latest data from the World Gold Council, with around 10% slice of the globe's output. Reuters reports that its holdings of gold have tripled since it illegally annexed Crimea in 2014. They have a typo here. They say 2104. And the commodity is an important asset for Russia's central bank, which is already operating under severely limited conditions. But they have a lot of gold. And so, therefore, they're not going to be able to adjust that gold or have any effect on that gold that they have in their coffers there. A senior U.S. administration official said Sunday, according to Reuters, that the ban would be announced on Tuesday, adding that the president and other G7 leaders will continue to work to hold Putin accountable. Despite the unprecedented level of sanctions imposed on the Kremlin, the Russian ruble actually hit its strongest level in 7 years last week following a February collapse. Russia's ruble hit 52.3 to the dollar on Wednesday, its strongest level since May 2015. And its surge is being cited by the Kremlin as proof that Western sanctions aren't working. And this isn't going to work, and I'm going to tell you why it won't work here in a moment. In fact, the ruble has actually gotten so strong that Russia's central bank is actively taking measures to try to weaken it, fearing that this will make the country's exports less competitive. And we've actually seen that. Believe it or not, Donald Trump kind of wanted the same thing to happen here in the United States when he was president as well. So, again, this goes back to these G7 countries. And as was already mentioned, actually, Silver Heist did a video about this too. And, it's kind of theorizing there, these nations that make up the G7, they're a fraction of the amount of countries around the world that aren't affected by this. And so even if this was something brand new that's being implemented, it's only with these G7 countries. And the London Bullion Market Association, I think, is a much more powerful force because it works with more nations. And this is something that had already been in effect, again, months ago, March 11th, 2022. London Bullion Market Association had banned Russian gold. And again, I reported on this at the time when it came out. And so, therefore, what is the G7 going to do that's not already been done by the London Bullion Market Association? And it even talks about, down here that says good delivery bars and something that's going to be suspended as far as these are concerned for new bars. And I've reported on that when I did the story about Switzerland here recently about what happened. And by the way, the London Platinum and Palladium Market, the world's largest, said it will continue its relationship with 2 of its accredited Russian refineries. That stopped as well, too. I reported on that as well. And so far, it has not affected really the platinum and palladium markets that much, if at all. I thought maybe they would skyrocket, but it has not happened. Palladium didn't skyrocket. It's kind of moving backwards a bit. And platinum has certainly not taken a turn for the higher prices now. So more than likely, this is not going to affect gold, and it is more than likely Russia will just deal with the 85% of the world that is not a part of the G7. And so its gold will make its way into the gold market, probably go through Dubai and the like. But interesting indeed. That's kind of where we are at. To me, that announcement and that news is no news. It's much ado about nothing. And I felt the need to kind of do this video because it's just it's crazy. I mean, this is something that's supposedly big news when the G7 really has no control. I mean, they can say, yeah, we're not going to be doing this, but it's already been done. It's something that's been done months and months ago. And as has been reported on this channel, every step along the way was as to what has been happening. And so far, there's been no change or effect in the gold market that I've seen anywhere based off of what has happened there. I thought maybe gold would go up because of this, because there's less of it coming through, considering that Russia is a large exporter, which means that there's other ways that Russian gold is hitting the market, number one, or number two, there's just that much gold out there that Russia's imports don't have the effect, which I find kind of doubt, which means I think their gold is making its way and they're getting enriched by it. and they're selling it through other channels, apparently back channels, and probably likely something that Putin has thought about it, by the way, during the course of his tenure here. And, one thing that Vladimir Putin is not is dumb. He's likely thought of all these scenarios and already had these back channels already made through. So we'll see. And a lot of it, they do talk about some aspects with oligarchs and the like, but it's very interesting to see how this is playing out, and where we are at. I think the biggest thing that could be done we're not doing, and that is to produce our own energy. But nonetheless, that's an aside note. But I think this is going to have very little, if any, effect on the gold market, unless there's something they're not telling us here. And one thing they're not telling us on here is the LBMA and what they have already done. Nowhere is it in this story or in any other story that I've seen on this reporting. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I thought I'd share this with the community, kind of my thoughts on why the G7 nations announcement on this ban on Russian gold won't work. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.